Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, every other person in Africa, and welcome to this wonderful Agent E-Summit of College Multihexa, presented to you by M Square Media. In today's webinar series, we'll be talking about how your students will be able to study in Quebec in Canada. And we have no other than the international team who will be having us to take all the great interpretations of how your students will be able to get to College Multihexa. I have with me Alex, and he will introduce himself. Hi, Alex. How are you doing today?
Oh, very well. How are you?
I'm very well. How is it over there? It's sunny and so humid at the moment in Nigeria, Lagos. How is it in Quebec today?
Not exactly the same as that. It's -7, I think, cold, snow. The Canadian winter's just getting started. So yeah,
I can imagine.
It's going to be cold for a few months now. So.
Oh, great. Good to know. You know, sometimes in Africa, most students also prefer the winters. And so it's obviously very good to, have a mix of different weathers.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the beautiful things about Canada, obviously you can see I'm not from here, I'm from England, but I've been living here 17 years. And yeah, we have 4 beautiful seasons here, the autumn and the winters. You know, it's cold, it's snow, but it's fun. The summers are very nice. So yeah, it's really nice for that.
Great. Thank you for taking the time to take us through the possibilities and the study options in Quebec, and through College Multihexa. Just for our attendees and those who have joined us today, before we kickstart and start the presentation, just a little bit of housekeeping, so that you can know that we are going to be available to take all your questions, all your concerns concerning anything about studying at the College Multihexa. So we are going to be using the Q&A function, to be able to get all your concerns in this webinar. So please feel free, post all whatever questions or concerns, and at the end of this session, when the Q&A floor opens, we're going to take all your questions and definitely get all answered. So without further ado, Alex, I'll leave you to the floor to do what you know how to do best.
Okay, perfect. Hi, well, let's say good morning to everyone from Canada. It's 8 o'clock here in the morning. My name's Alexander de Vries. I have been working here at the college for 2 years. I was initially taken on as a teacher. We were just starting our international program. I'm actually an ex-student of the college. I did my network manager class here 8 years ago. I completed that. I went to work for a local business to do my internship, and they took me on full time. I worked for a few years for CGI, which is, we share the same building with them here at the college, one of the big multinational IT companies. And then Jacques, who's the president of the college, he called me and said, look, we're starting an international program. We'd like you to come and join us, obviously, as an English-speaking teacher. And since then, I've pretty much taken over the international program as well. So I'm here to help with all the student services and organize all of the international intakes, which is a lot of fun. We've had a great time working so far with the MSM team, and we've got some students here. Obviously, the last couple of years have been pretty tough. The timing was a bit unfortunate. It was unfortunate for everyone, obviously, the situation that came along around the world that we've been dealing with. So it's been tough getting students here. Fingers crossed things are moving in the right direction, and we can obviously get more and more international students here in the next, the next year. So yeah, so I'm going to take you through the college, and we've got a PowerPoint obviously ready for you. I'll just take you through some of the information, what we have to offer here, as much as a student studying IT and as much as the services that all students are going to need when they arrive here in the region. So if Bamika, I think, is going to help me in the background. Bamika, if you want to, perfect. So we like to say here that, where students can start strong and smart in Saguenay. The Saguenay region is about 5 hours north of Montreal, for anyone who knows roughly where Montreal is. We're about 5 hours north of that. The Saguenay itself is actually a river that runs through the city here. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to live. surrounded by mountains and national parks, big lakes, really, really great environment if you do enjoy the outdoors. So it's an excellent place for students to come, have a good, a good environment to study and to learn Canadian life and Canadian culture, and to learn some French as well. It is a French-speaking region here in Quebec. Quebec is obviously the French province of Canada, but places like Montreal, they speak probably 50-50 English-French, but this part of Quebec, you very much have to learn French as well. So that's a little extra challenge for the students. So in terms of Multihexa, we have been going since, as you can see, 1986. Jacques, the president, he initially started the business off to offer training courses to businesses in IT. So a business that needed some training in Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, Excel, those kinds of things, all sorts of programs, we would offer that kind of training to businesses. Then in 1995, the collegial section of Multihexa was created. And so the college here in Saguenay has been here for, what are we up to now, 26 years. That has allowed us to, as you can see, train well over 5,000 students now who are working in IT across the province of Quebec. And it's also allowed us to make, great relationships and build a strong reputation in the market with, many different businesses, government businesses and private companies and multinational companies, because we produce very good, well-trained students in IT who are ready to go out into the world and obviously start a career. Our value proposition, obviously this is important for everybody. We have very nice class sizes here at the college. So we don't have, big 100, 200 student classes like you might find at university. We tend to try and keep the class numbers to, maybe 30, 40 students per class. That helps us to have a really nice ratio between the students and the teachers. And obviously it helps them to build a good relationship, gives the teacher a bit more chance to actually spend time one-on-one with each student, make sure everyone's understanding what's going on and moving forward correctly. The teachers themselves, we generally look for profiles of teachers, people who've worked out in the industry for a good number of years. So they've seen all the kind of, problems and situations that can come along in IT, and they've got that good experience with the different technologies that there are. So we've got a fantastic group of teachers here. Obviously, the programs are fully backed and they go through the Ministry of Education here in Quebec. We have our official license, which you can see on the screen, Designated Learning Institute. So yeah, all the programs, every time we have to make changes, obviously IT moves forward very fast, so we have to keep our programs adapted to that. They all go through the Ministry of Education to be approved. As I just mentioned, there is the opportunity to learn and master French here. As I say, coming from England myself, I've been here for 17 years. That was one of my challenges when I first moved here, was to learn the language. But it's a great place to do that. You're immersed in the language here. People do speak some English and they're happy to practice their English with you as well. But equally, obviously, we encourage all the students to learn French. The French classes are completely paid for by, again, by the ministry here, the Ministry of Immigration. They also give you an allocation of money each week, so you actually get paid to do them, which is fantastic. And we run those obviously every single week. The student schedules will be planned based on their classes at the college, the work that they can do. You obviously have a permit that allows you to work 20 hours a week, and then obviously you'll fit your French classes in as well. We'll see a little bit throughout this PowerPoint some of the benefits of living here in Saguenay. The low cost of living, very good living costs compared to the very big cities, excellent transportation, great accommodation options as well. And we've got agencies here to help us with all of those aspects. Yeah, so as I mentioned, one of the things we've always tried to offer down the years is that the students get fantastic training. Obviously in IT, that's the key, right? That's what we're doing here. We don't do any other courses at all. We only offer information technology. We specialize in that. We make sure that students have a really good baggage, if you like, to go out into the world and get a career in IT. Equally as well, we do our best to train these students up to understand how to be a good professional. It's a professional college, so we want the students that come out of here to be able to go and work with a team of people, understand the important skills you must have as a professional, timekeeping, customer service is a big one. Obviously, customer service applies in any industry, really. So how to be able to cope with situations and pressure and time management. So all of those skills we're going to be looking to give the students as well. All right, life in Saguenay. Now, I will be honest, when I was living in England, I'd never heard of Saguenay before in my life. And the main reason I'm here is actually the lady who is in my life. She comes from here. She was traveling through England. We met and she brought me back here all those years ago. So I'm now a Canadian citizen. It is an absolutely beautiful part of the world. It really is. As I say, we've got 3 national parks around us. We have a range of mountains that runs very close, so we can go skiing in the winter. Some beautiful big lakes for all the kind of water sports you might like to try. Forestry all around us. It really is a very Canadian life. So for anyone who wants to experience a real Canadian life, it's a fantastic place to come. The big cities are great, of course, for activities. We have an excellent cultural scene here as well. Music festivals and shows and all sorts of ththings going on. But as I say, you equally have the real Canadian life here. If you want to go and pitch a tent and build a fire and hope not to see any bears, then you can do all of that here and really, really enjoy Canadian life. Obviously, the winter's a big factor, as we talked about a little bit initially. We have a big winter here, but there's loads and loads of activities to do. We organize regular activities for the students as well. Get them out on the mountains in the winter, go and see the snow. So there's lots of fun things to do. Cost of living here, as I mentioned, is excellent. There's a university here as well. There's lots of international students. So, there's lots of landlords who are offering student accommodation. They're offering rooms, shared rooms with kitchen and bathroom and so on. Generally around $375, $400 a month will get you a shared room or a private room, but in a shared accommodation. This will include heating, electricity, internet, which is obviously very important, and furniture. So that's really, really important. Then obviously the costs a student will have to think about is their weekly grocery. And the other things like a mobile telephone. Obviously, we can't live without those these days. And medical insurance is another important one. And the bus pass as well. We have the student rate, the same as the university here for the bus passes. Buses are the best transportation system in town. They keep going, all year long, even if there's 3 foot of snow out there, and the buses keep going. So students can always get around. Equally, I've got 4 students now who've bought cars, second-hand cars. Again, that's the kind of service we'll offer them. We'll help them find a decent second-hand car that's not going to fall to pieces straight away. So those are the good options. We don't have a metro here, but we don't really need one here. The bus services are very, very good. And generally, student accommodation is located pretty close to the college as well. So students can walk, unless it's very, very cold, then obviously the buses are available to them. Bamika's just going to run us a lovely video, which we've got, which is all about the region. So I'll let you.
Saguenay, a city with a lot to offer. A dynamic city. Saguenay, a city surrounded by spectacular nature. It's a city that offers an unparalleled quality of life with more than 146,000 inhabitants in a vast area where we do good business. Saguenay is known as one of the best cities in Canada for industry and plantation. Situated in the heart of the province of Quebec, it's the regional metropolis as well as the hub for development in northern Quebec. There are several ways to get to Saguenay. By land, with a safe 4-lane divided highway. By boat, with its 2 modern deep water ports that are accessible year-round. And by plane, With the Saguenay-Bagotville Airport, the most active regional airport in Canada in terms of flights to sun destinations, welcoming more than 100,000 travelers per year. The Canadian Forces Base Bagotville is also located there. It provides an important link between the Canadian and American National Defense Forces. With its diverse industries, Saguenay boasts a highly qualified and skilled workforce, known for its stability and productivity. Benefiting from the presence of Rio Tinto Alcan, the second largest aluminum manufacturer in the world, Saguenay is known for being the aluminum capital of the world. With its 4 production centers, 3 research centers, and multiple processing plants, Rio Tinto Alcan provides more than 10,000 direct and indirect jobs. With its thousands of businesses, Saguenay offers more than 70,000 jobs to its citizens through its industrial parks and commercial arteries. Its logging industry represents 20% of Quebec's production. The city works in conjunction with exploitation, sawmills, and paper mills. It's the biggest timber reserve in Quebec and has over 500 active businesses in the sector, including 9 major ones working on the first stages of transformation. With its 16,723 hectares of agriculture, the agri-food industry represents 9% of Quebec's businesses. We process dairy products, meat, potatoes, and wild blueberries. Saguenay can provide the majority of its own electrical energy needs. It benefits from an experienced workforce in the sector where manufacturers and engineering firms share their knowledge with others around the world. The city also offers complete healthcare and education services with 3 hospitals, a university, and 2 colleges. The Université du Québec à Chicoutimi boasts several research centers and chairs, and several faculties, including a faculty of medicine. A majestic fjord, a land of adventures, and wide open spaces, a rich cultural program, and a must-see tourist destination. In addition to its low cost of living, the city is one of the safest in Canada. The city enjoys a peaceful and tranquil atmosphere, which allows the population to feel safe, an important aspect of well-being. With its legendary and unrivaled welcoming spirit, friendly population, vast areas, and numerous waterways, not to mention the snow, lots of snow, Saguenay is a destination of choice where we do good business and life is enjoyable.
Okay, so I think that video really says it all. You can see the beautiful landscape here, you know, with the river and the fjord and the mountains. You get a good idea of how much snow we get. We're just at the beginning at the moment. It's fun. Some of the international students here, I mean, they've never really seen snow before. So, you know, there's only a little light dusting at the moment, but it's very fun for them to see it for the first time. So, yeah, I mean, fantastic culture, lots of huge businesses here as well. You know, it's not just IT. I mean, there's lots of IT here now. But obviously some of the big industries like forestry and aluminium and agriculture. And these days, everyone needs IT, right? Everybody needs IT behind them, backing their networks and their equipment. So there's lots and lots of job opportunities. Right, into a little bit about what we do in terms of programs, all right? So obviously that's important. That's what we want our students to be. You know, we want students coming here who are ready, who are motivated, who are interested in IT. We have 2 programs that we offer. The first one is the analyst programmer program that we have. This one is a 2-year program. In fact, both of the programs are based over 2 years, including the 3-month internship at the end. So the internship, obviously, in a business here in the region. Programmer analyst is for those who are going to enjoy developing web platforms, mobile applications, you know, working on computer languages, computer coding. So, you know, there's obviously a huge market out there these days for all of the mobile applications we have on our phones these days. websites, front end and back end. So obviously everything that's needed to manage and keep secure websites, and equally obviously everything that's needed to design them. Databases as well, obviously, are hugely important. So those are all the kind of aspects they will get to see. You can see some of the job opportunities that students will have after that, and obviously an idea of the average salary they might go into when they come out of the college. So, you know, there's lots and lots of work available at the moment for that. And the government have just invested huge amount of money here in Quebec in IT, offering students the possibility to go and get qualifications, quite simply because there's so many jobs available and there's not enough qualified people. So, you know, I'm completely certain that all students are going to have jobs waiting for them when they come out of their program here. Network manager. This is the one that I did. So this is the one I tend to be a bit more biased towards. I'm not so good on the coding and the computer languages, but this is the course I did 8 years ago. This is the one I teach. I do teach as well. So another fantastic job. This one obviously involves people looking after all the networks that run across the world all day long. So from the small businesses to the large ones, we are all completely dependent, even in our homes now, and on our internet and our computer networks. This job will put you in that position where, you know, you're making sure everything's running 24/7. It's secure, it's organized, all your backups are done, and all your data is safe and protected. All your programs are running properly. So there's some fantastic opportunities here as well. If you'd like to be a technician going out on the road and actually fixing equipment and installing equipment. And for those who'd like to be sitting behind, you know, 3 or 4 computer screens and making sure everything's running as it should be. That's the Network Manager program. These are some of the technologies and the programs that we will see throughout the time at the college. Obviously, quite a few of these are the computer languages you will do as a programmer. So JavaScript and PHP, HTML, ASP.NET. Then equally, obviously, on the network manager side, we're going to look at things like Microsoft Server, VMware, Cisco. SQL is for both, in a sense, for the databases. So, you know, lots and lots of aspects that we're going to show the students so they can go out into the world and obviously have a good understanding for a new career. All right, in terms of local employment opportunities, obviously this is going to be important as much for students when they go and do their internship as it will be for them going forward in the future. CGI, obviously I've mentioned, we have a fantastic partnership with them. They share the same building with us. They have 1,000 employees here. They were actually born here in Quebec. They now have offices across the world. And they obviously run IT networks for companies all over the world. So that's a great opportunity. That's one of the first people that knock on our door to take our students for the internship. We have Ubisoft here now. For those who know Ubisoft, certainly those who play video games, I'm sure are very well aware of them. They have an office here in the region. And then you can see some of the other businesses here. Rio Tinto, second largest aluminium company in the world. They have a huge IT infrastructure. Bell are one of the biggest mobile network providers in Canada. And then there's the forestry industry, and there's Hydro-Quebec, who make, obviously they have hydroelectricity and they provide electricity across Quebec. So lots and lots of big industries here looking for good IT people. All right, so for graduates coming out of here, as you can see, over the years, we have an 85% placement rate, which is very, very good. I would say in the last few years, it's probably gone up, and the demands for IT students have gone up. So, you know, I'd like to think that's probably gone up. That's gone up a little bit more, actually. What we want to do is offer the students a diploma, obviously qualified in IT and with the professional skills, and then obviously to go on and have a great career. The fantastic thing about IT is obviously so many industries have suffered in the last 2 years because of the pandemic. IT is always going to be here, right? We all know that. It's going to always be with us from now on. Everyone relies on it. So there's great opportunities out there. If you get yourself a diploma in IT, then you're going to have a great career ahead of you. Possibility of cost being credited. Yes, that can apply to some students. There are programs here available from the government. So that's something that's of interest when the student finishes his class here. We're very well located within the province of Quebec. So, you know, we're close to the big cities. We're close to the Northern Territories as well, which is great for the industry as well here. We've obviously mentioned the nice hands-on and close relationship that the students can have with their teachers. And, we're very much recognized. We're a Microsoft college. So obviously Microsoft is what we do here. And some of the other bigger companies like Cisco, who do all the networking equipment, VMware as well. We work very closely with those partners as well. Okay, so the International Student Program is, again, it's fairly new for us. That we got into the international market, and we obviously made our partnership, which we've had for over 2 years now, with MSM, which is fantastic. We work very closely together, organizing our webinars and organizing all the students who are going to come here. We've got a nice group of international students here already. They're enjoying themselves. They've all got their part-time jobs, and obviously their French classes, and obviously their classes here at the college. And we do activities with them. You can see a couple of pictures there. That's me with the sunglasses on, taking some of the students to Quebec City for a visit. And then on the other side, you can see some of the students in the center of Saguenay in the winter, getting used to the cold and making sure they wrap up properly. Yes, we've got a university here. We've got 2 cegeps as well. So there's lots and lots of other international students in town, coming and learning French and integrating and mixing. So, it's a very multicultural city now as well. Just go back one slide, Bamika. Okay, thanks. Cool. Just to give you an idea, we've looked at it a little bit where we are. So the Bagotville airport that we have here is about a 55-minute flight to Montreal. Obviously, the international flights come into either Toronto or Montreal. That's the 2 closest airports to us. And then you can get a transferring flight here to Bagotville, which is great. 2 hours to Quebec City by car on a fantastic new highway, which they've built. And then probably another couple of hours, 2.5 hours more to get to Montreal by car. So, we're pretty close to those places. I say fantastic region in Northern America, immersed in the Canadian life, immersed in the French language as well. So a beautiful place to live. We've looked a little bit at some of the costs the students will have when they come here and the transportation network. So another thing to bear in mind is obviously our program does open up the possibility of up to a 3-year working permit after you've completed your diploma. This is a great opportunity for students as well. So once they've completed their diploma, they can apply for that working permit. They can go out and work, obviously, and during the time that they're working, once they've done a year's work, they can actually go through the process to apply to be a permanent resident here as well. So, the whole process of eventually becoming a resident of Canada is possible, once you've completed your diploma. So. Another very important aspect, in a sense, that's my other role here as well as teaching, is looking after the students. So, I'd like to kind of reassure all the agents and the students who might be watching that you will have someone here, myself, who's going to look after you from the moment that you arrive. We do our absolute best to make sure that we meet the students at the airport, take them to their accommodation, give them a welcoming, a good welcome and a friendly face when they get off the plane. And then, I and some of my other colleagues will be here for every single aspect of your life. Obviously, the college is important, but equally making sure you've got your bank accounts and your social insurance number, you've got yourself a job, and you're organized and you understand, Canadian life and Canadian culture, and that you've got someone there you can turn to for anything at all, for any questions about immigration, integration, whatever it may be. There are also some fantastic agencies here in town, and I work very closely with them. So we ensure that, students, as I say, they don't feel too lost when they first get here. It's obviously a big journey for anyone coming here from Africa, from India, wherever it may be. It's a big change of life. So, don't worry, we've got people here who will look after you in every single aspect when you arrive. Good. I think that does the tour of the college. So who's handling the questions?
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. What a wonderful presentation. It just gave me a little bit of a good feel of how Canada is, and not just Canada, Quebec and, College Multihexa. Okay, so from listening to what you're saying, in terms of the pastoral care, you said you have been actively involved in ensuring, students, are not too away from home, so it's always that form of guidance. I don't know if you could just throw a little bit of more lights on that, because it's something that is really very important, especially from the African perspective, where parents want to be sure that, oh, Canada is so far, it's thousands of miles away. I don't have anyone, so, just to let our partners understand that, at College Multihexa, we care about, the students, we don't just leave them, just by themselves. And, with the rising mental health situation where students, tend not to be able to balance issues, just give us a little bit about the pastoral care, the other aspects of, mental health, and ensuring that students be able to cope with all the cultural shocks and everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, well, I mean, I think that's been my personal goal in a sense. I mean, I'm an immigrant here in a sense, and it's a very warm and welcoming people here. But yeah, it was a big change for me coming here as well. So I think I brought that with me, to this job. And, there's a lot of colleges you can choose, and not to criticize anybody, but I think a lot of them will kind of, the college side of things is important, but for the rest of their lives, it's kind of, go and look after yourselves. But I've really made an effort to make sure that every individual has somebody they can turn to for anything at all. If they need to sit down and talk about any aspect of life, if they're missing home, they want to chat to me, and a lot of the other staff here is the same as well. We want to make sure that they really feel comfortable, they feel welcomed, they know, all about life, they know where they need to go if they want to find such and such a product, or if they need to speak to somebody about any kind of immigration issues or integration issues, whatever it may be. We want to put a big collective arm around their shoulders and make sure they feel safe and comfortable. It is a very safe city here, which is a really, good thing to know. The crime rate's one of the lowest in literally the whole of Canada. So it's a very good place to be living. It's very safe at night. But yeah, I mean, please rest assured, parents and agents who might be listening, that they've got a friendly face here, and there's nothing I won't do to make sure the students are happy and they've got everything that they need. So obviously with the pandemic situation, yes, we have to, it changes very fast. At the moment, things have improved, but we make sure the students are aware of all those aspects as well. And I'm always there encouraging them and making sure they ring their parents regularly. And I say my door's always open. So if it's nice, the international students generally turn up for classes, and they'll always come and knock on the door and say hello and give me a list of things that they need. So I'll make sure they get everything that they need. So
cool, great, perfect, good to know. So we have a couple of questions in the Q&A box. A lot bordering around scholarships. So perhaps you could touch a little bit about the scholarships and perhaps the fees structure, just for most of the questions around on the fees.
Sure. Well, I might actually ask Bhumika to jump in when it comes to kind of scholarships and fees. Obviously international students, they go through MSM first. So I kind of like to throw those questions at Bhumika to keep her busy.
Sure. Hi, everyone. As far as the scholarships are concerned, currently we are giving a student discount of 2,000 Canadian dollars for May 22 intake to all the international students. So initially our tuition fees, which was 13,800, has been reduced to 11,800, where every international student will be able to avail the student discount of $2,000, which is already in place, and everybody will have the benefits of the same.
Perfect. So great. So a $2,000 scholarship for all students. That's perfect. So there are no criteria. It's just available to all students as long as they get both.
Yes. So yes, it applies to all. It's a student discount instead of a scholarship. So it applies to everyone who will be enrolling in May 22 intake.
Great. Could you also talk about a little bit about the application process? Because Priscilla was mentioning something about the application process.
Absolutely. So the student needs to fill out the application form, fill out the details of which program and intake they would prefer, and their contact details, name, etc. And it's very important to have that application form signed by the student. Once we receive that application form, along with the academic documents, all the high school transcripts, and a scanned copy of the passport is much required. The students coming from English-speaking countries in Africa, we do not require any English proficiency proficiency test score as an admission criteria here. And at the same time, the students coming from French-speaking countries, we don't require any English proof or French proof either. But we would still be looking at your French scores in high school and English scores in high school at your transcripts. So to share your transcripts is a must, so that we can have a look at your profile and see if you meet our admission criteria or not. And once we have received those documents, we will be sending you an offer letter, a pre-offer letter within 24 to 48 hours. And after receiving that offer letter, you can make the initial payment to the college. The details of the college bank is already mentioned on the offer letter, which you can see and process your payments accordingly. The minimum deposit that we require is 5,900 Canadian dollars, which is 50% of the annual tuition fees. So once we receive that payment, along with the TT copy from the student as a proof that the payment has been processed, we are going to release the LOA, the letter of admission, which the students can use in filing for their visa as well as applying for the CAQ. So in Quebec, we have a process of applying for CAQ, which is certificate of acceptation from the Quebec government. So any student who wishes to apply for their study permit in Quebec has to receive a CAQ before they can apply for a study permit for Quebec. So it's an extra add-on step here, which the students can go for after they have received the LOA, a letter of admission from the college. And after having the LOA and CAQ, the students can file for their visa. And as soon as they get it, we can welcome them on campus.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bhumika. I don't know, Alex, in terms of the accommodation, are they available on campus ones, or perhaps maybe how are the off-campus accommodation? Which will you prefer or recommend for students?
Well, accommodation generally, we don't have anything specifically on the campus, but it's all basically, it's houses and apartments, which are obviously, located close to the college itself. We have an agency that we work with, and obviously I provide them the kind of numbers of students we've got coming in, and obviously then they get working to find shared rooms, shared accommodation for the students. We offer what's called, if you like, a turnkey option. So the student arrives, they haven't got to stress about, furniture, they get bedding and towels and things like that already provided. And as I say, the accommodation pricing includes the heating, it includes the electricity, includes unlimited internet access, which is obviously extremely important for the students. So all of the key aspects of the accommodations looked after, plus the landlords, they work to make sure that the landlords that they are kind of working with are good with international students, understand the different requirements of international students, and are obviously there to help them out with any issues they might have in the accommodation as well. So we have that arrangement in place. It's important to understand that in Quebec, student accommodation generally works on a lease basis. So there's a lease that has to be signed by the student, which is generally for 1 year. So for the first year that the student gets here, normally they will have to sign a lease for 1 year. And then obviously generally they'll pay for, on a monthly basis for their accommodation. After that year, obviously they can go off and find their own accommodation if they wish to. They can stay where they are. But it's important, the student understands that's how it works across Quebec. Leases are normally signed with the landlords.
Thank you so much for that awesome answer. Fola Adediron is talking about visa processing. Is there any chance we could assist for visa processing? I don't know if Bhumika or Alex could take that.
Visa processing is a bit difficult in the sense, there's obviously a few steps, right? You make your first application to the college, you get your pre-LOA letter. Once you've made your first deposit, you get your LOA letter. And then with that LOA letter, you can go and apply for the first step, which is the CAQ. When you get your CAQ back, you can then obviously go and apply for the visa. Obviously, in the last 2 years, some of these processes, certainly going through the federal government, have been kind of slow. I guess, it's unfortunate, but that's the situation. So the key thing is obviously get all the other steps done as quickly as you can. And then once you've got your visa application in, you've got to be a bit patient. The timing at the moment, I think, is about 4 months for a visa to be processed. that's approximative. So it may be a little bit less, it may be more. But it's key, obviously, to make sure you've got all the right documents, you've done everything properly, go through everything before you send it off, so there's no mistakes. And yeah, we can't really do much after that point. Once it's with the federal government, there's not a lot we can do to hurry it up. It's obviously up to them to make a decision. They will obviously look a little bit into each student to make sure they're going to be, they're going to respect the Canadian laws and so on when they come here. Yeah, that's the, we keep our fingers crossed when obviously we have intakes coming up that everyone gets their visa, positive visa replies before the intake starts. But it's a bit slow going at the moment, so.
Right, we can for sure assist the agents in processing the entire application. But yes, it has to be done through them. So visa processing is something that the agents are responsible for doing, but we can definitely assist them at each and every step. So that's not a problem.
Okay, thanks so much, Bhumika and Alex. A question from Fola again. He's talking about transferring, to a university, upon completing the diploma. How seamless could that be for a student who wants to complete his diploma and then wants to transfer to a university?
Well, the university here in, we have a kind of relationship with the university here in Saguenay. So it is very possible for students to actually go on after their diploma to the university here. If they want to go on to, another university somewhere else, I mean, obviously the diploma is, it's a recognized diploma again through the Ministry of Education. So depending, it's obviously going to depend on the course that they're looking for afterwards, and what they've studied so far with us here at the college. But as I say, we have a possibility directly with the university here in Saguenay. Otherwise, obviously, we can look at that with the student depending on what they'd like to go on and do at university afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. Just to add, also, I also know that it also depends on the university's requirement. Sometimes requirements for whatever course the student wants to study. So
exactly. Yeah.
Actually know from here.
It's done on a credit system. So, some of the courses they've studied here at Multihexa may well be credited when they go forward to university. But yes, exactly. It's going to depend a little bit on what they're looking to do afterwards. So.
Great. So someone is asking if there is any, admissions fees, for applications. So I just want to let you know, somewhere that we've waived the application fees for the May intake, and no application fees or admission fees, for African students. Peter is talking about if you could get a copy of the meeting. Yes, the recording of this meeting will be sent to all participants, who has registered. So you'll be getting the recording, of this meeting. So yes, we will get that. And I think I've gotten all the questions. Okay, let me just check over the chat box. Okay, Adeola is talking about the scholarship. So yeah, we've already mentioned that there's an available discount. So not really a scholarship per se, for all students who, can't get an offer, at College Multihexa. So $2,000 Canadian, of the tuition. So that's going to be available to all students who get an offer. So it's a discount, not as a scholarship. How has the institution been assisting students during the pandemic? A question from Emmanuel. Yes, these are terrible and unprecedented times. So, how do we assist the student? I know you talked a little bit about that. Just talk a bit more.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yes, it's been tough, right? It's been tough for all of us, and it's, I mean, obviously we had to put all our classes online for a while, and I mean, in a sense, students were able to start online. It's not the ideal situation, with the time differences and things. It's not ideal, and networks and so on. When, in terms of traveling here as well, that's a big important thing. If you have got your visa, and it's extremely important to make sure you check very carefully all the travel guidelines coming from wherever you may be in the world, making sure you respect, all the conditions. Vaccination programs, I don't know them in every country, but obviously generally when a student comes here, they must bring their proof of vaccinations with them. What we actually have here in Quebec at the moment is we have what we call if you like, a vaccination passport. So with the two, if you have both your vaccinations, you can get kind of it works on a mobile application. So they'll give you like a barcode that gets scanned in restaurants and places to prove that you've had your 2 vaccinations done. Obviously, if you're coming internationally, if you've had your vaccinations done in your country, we take the students to the vaccination center and we make sure they get their vaccinations registered so they can have this vaccination passport as well. Obviously we're still wearing masks. We don't have to wear them in the classroom, but we still wear them around the campus, and you still have to wear them in shops and any public environments. Obviously we've got a medical insurance policy here that's there as well to make sure the students are covered. It's a legal requirement here in Quebec, so that comes along with the college too. And any support that a student needs in terms of that, if they are feeling sick, there's obviously there's COVID testing centers in town. We'll make sure they get there. We'll make sure they get accompanied. If they do have to do any kind of period of isolation, once again, while I can't maybe go and see them directly, we'll make sure that they have everything they need and they have their food and so on, and they don't feel alone, and they get looked after during that. So, we had a couple of students who came here earlier this year. One of them tested positive COVID, so they had to go into isolation. And myself, some of the other students, we go along regularly and deliver groceries to their door, and we call them every day and make sure they're all right. So, once again, we've got a support network here if there is any kind of situation. But yeah, do just be careful to make sure you read all the guidelines, come from the country you're coming from and from obviously the going to Canada, just to make sure you check that you are conform with all of the conditions surrounding COVID.
Perfect. I think we're done with all the questions. It has been a very wonderful conversation, Alex and Bhumika. I learned a lot personally, and just to have a round conversation in terms of the outcomes. You mentioned of a lot of outcomes, in terms of CGI and a lot of tech companies who are giving a lot of jobs. So because at the end of the day, it's the return on investment, right? It's you just come to study, you need to get a job, you need to become a PR. So just in a nutshell, just to wrap up this session in terms of the great ROI vis-a-vis the cost of the education and the kind of opportunities the students can get from coming to Quebec and College Multihexa.
Yeah, absolutely. No, listen, I mean, it's definitely a big investment. So I came through the college myself. Obviously, when you're choosing a private institution, it's a big investment. Yeah, so you've got to be, as an individual motivated and ready. You've got 2 years of study ahead of you. IT is a fascinating field. There's so many things to learn. I mean, us as teachers, we're still learning things every day. But I really think it's an excellent investment for the future. I used to work in the kind of hospitality industry, and I actually decided to make a change of career and come here to the college. And one of the reasons why was simply because I knew that it was such a growing field, IT, and it's such a field it's so absolutely crucial to everybody these days. So job opportunities are fantastic. Like I say, I mean, just the best example I can give you at the moment is the huge investment that the Quebec government made recently into IT, into sending people back to colleges and to universities to study IT, because there are so many jobs available. There are not enough people to fill those jobs. So obviously immigration is hugely important in that as well. So international students coming in, I can, very much assure you that there's great job opportunities out there for you afterwards. And I think equally part of the value package is Saguenay is a beautiful place to live. It's a beautiful place to live long term. And I've got 3 kids now. It's a safe, secure region to be living in, fantastic quality of life. And you find that across Canada. So even if you study here and you decide to go somewhere else afterwards, you want to go to the West, you want to go to the East Coast, or whatever it may be, it's a beautiful place to live. It really is. There's vast open spaces and great nature and great people. So, I think coming here, there's so many benefits for a student, and they'll have a fantastic time. I'm sure they'll really enjoy themselves here in the region, and they'll really enjoy their studies. The teachers here, like I say, some of them weren't teachers by profession. They were IT people by profession, and they've come in and they've learned the trade of teaching, and they're fantastic. They're hands-on. They've got big hearts. They've got lots of passion for it as well. So, I think it's a really great choice coming here to join us at the college.
Thanks a lot, Alex. Bhumika, do you have any maybe final words before we close the session?
I think again we've covered pretty much everything in this webinar. I would just like to thank everyone for joining us in this webinar. And any questions that you might have, you can for sure reach out to Ikenna and send out an email. Whatever you require from the team Multihexa, we will be sending you a copy of this presentation, a video of Saguenay City, so that you could present it to your prospective students, and a copy of this webinar as well for your further references. And yeah, we look forward to recruiting students from your end.
Thanks a lot, Bhumika, and thank you so much, Alex, for such an insightful, session. And to all those who've joined us, it's such a great pleasure having you. We're going to be reaching out to you at the end of this session within the week with a copy of the PPT as well as this webinar and some very good collaterals from College Multihexa. Just like Bhumika mentioned, we are here in Africa to support and assist you in your recruitment strides, for MSM and College Multihexa. Emmanuel, Folusho, Kwame, Titus, and Solomon, we are all here in Africa, and we will definitely reach out to you and assist you, all the way to getting students to College Multihexa. I think this is it from me here, and thanks a lot to you guys. Alex, Bhumika, great having you.
Thank you again.
So
That was great. Thank you very much.
Alex.
Nice to meet you guys. I hope to see you all here soon. So thank you very much.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right.